The one day where I am busy all day and news comes out for the Philadelphia Eagles regarding, coaching positions, firings, and other stuff. A lot of news today regarding defensive coordinator, some firings, more firings on the way, and we got some names. We have some nuggets to give you today as well. Looks like Nick Sirianni is most likely going to be here.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, have some news on the Philadelphia Eagles. A few good nuggets to give you guys today. Today was just a busy day. I would have had a video out earlier, but it was just crazy. Bought a brand new truck today, which is great. Needed a brand new truck and could get around and do some things. It was time for an upgrade, but never mind that. Who cares about me? Let's get into this news, okay? Now, looks like Nick Sirianni is going to stay here, guys. Unfortunately, that is going to be the news. We're going to have the end-of-the-year press conference on Wednesday, which you're watching this tomorrow, the next day, whenever you're watching this, okay, whenever I put this out. But Wednesday, we will have, which is the 23rd, we will have the end-of-the-year press conference where Howie Roseman will, say officially that Nick Sirianni is the head coach for this team. Unfortunately, here's the thing. The thing is, Jeffrey Lurie did tell Nick, hey, you're gonna keep your job if you fire your coordinators, and that's pretty much what happened. Okay, you fired Sean Desai. And these are Nick Sirianni firings. He fired Sean Desai, he fired Matt Patricia, and soon to be Brian Johnson will be there as well. I think the one thing that I think Jeffrey Lurie did probably say to Nick Sirianni that needs to happen is that he needs to let go and take his hands off of everything. Let these coordinators be coordinators when they're hired. Be a player's coach. And I don't get it because I feel like as a head coach, you have to do more than just be a motivational speaker or a cheerleader at this point. And I've been saying that ever since the last game of the playoffs, since the last game we had against Tampa Bay. Hopefully that's the case. But Howie Roseman needs to do the same thing, and we need to change a lot more. We'll get into another video about what Howie Roseman really needs to do. But when it comes to the front office, to Nick Sirianni, there's got to be some power distribution. It's got to be better, and I think these coordinators need to come in and start doing their own things. The blame is on them at the end of the day. Let them do their thing. And that's really it. So that's what I'm kind of looking for going into when we hire these coordinators. Nick is the head coach, but I'd rather have a head coach that an offensive-minded coach that calls plays. That's just me. But, Nick's getting his last shot really to see if this thing could be really successful with this roster that you have and what you can add to it. You got a first-rounder, 2 second-round picks for the draft. Going to have closely have $41 million or more than that, depending on more trades that happen. So the cap space is great. You're in a really good financial bind right now. You're not locked into anything crazy to where, we're eating money up for no reason. But I think a lot of moves will be made as well. But Nick will be announced tomorrow, most likely today, whenever you're watching this, at the official press conference end of the year. So that's that. Now, Derek Gunn did talk about, like I said before, Brian Johnson will be parting ways with the Eagles. Thank God. I figured it was too friendly. I figured there was way too much going on. And honestly, guys, Jalen Hurts was asking for help from Nick and from Brian, not trying to improve this offense, the intermediate routes, all the leaks that came out. And Brian Johnson was another coach, that we never got to see that play, really called an entire game from Brian Johnson's perspective and play calling. I don't think he ever got the chance, and hence why he has 4 interviews right now. Will he get a head coaching job? I have no idea. Will he come back and maybe help as an assistant? No idea. You never know what could happen down the road because I think these coordinators are going to have I think Howie and Jeffrey Lurie are going to let these coordinators that come in are going to hire their own positional coaches or assistants. I think there's going to be some positional vacancies that will be available later on as the offseason goes by. And then once we get our coaching staff kind of set up, then we can start attacking the roster of where we really need to get better. But Brian Johnson gone, pretty much clean house besides Nick that everybody wanted. I get it. I'm a little upset over it, but I need to see who they hire to really see who's going to have the control. Is it going to be some young yes man type coach, or a guy that has a veteran type coach that has a very good resume under his belt? That's where it's going to come in hand. Now, we're going to go over what we're really here for. Defensive coordinator. So we heard Wink Martindale. We heard Ryan Nielsen of the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, now we're starting to get more names. Ron Rivera is coming in for an interview to be the Eagles defensive coordinator. Now, Ron Rivera didn't take over play calling until November 24th after Jack Del Rio was fired, okay? Now, the Commanders did not play well last year defensively. Obviously, they had a lot of weapons on offense. Defensively, some weapons. They got rid of a couple good ones in Montez Sweat and Chase Young after the second Eagles game. But, Ron Rivera took over the last 5 games, okay? And I can't give I can't put too much on Ron Rivera. The last 5 games, the players have probably given up at that point on the season because they weren't going to the playoffs. Changes were going to get made. Washington has a new owner. They want to kind of restart. They got a new general manager. They have a new owner, a lot of new things going on in Washington right now. But the last 5 games, or at least for the whole year, for Washington, okay, they were dead last in passing yards per game, 262.2, yards per game, 388.9, and points per game, 30.5. The run defense was 126.8, and they were ranked 27th, so not great. Okay, that's the whole entire year. Now, in Washington's final 5, Rivera called the defense, like I said before. Opposing teams scored 45, 28, 30, 27, and 38. So I can't put too much on it, but I think the one thing that Ron Rivera did say at the end of the year for Washington was, he said, man, I'm excited. He said, I enjoyed actually calling the plays on defense. He says, I got away with it, for 3.5 seasons, and he said, I really liked it. But he was more of a manager during these times where if the defense wasn't playing up to standard, he would try to change some things, but obviously nothing changed that much. And I think part of it is the offense not sustaining drives. Sam Howell having an up and down, more downish year this year, switching quarterbacks. So there's a lot involved with it. Guys got to remember, look, Ron Rivera is 62 years old. I think we all know this. Okay, he was the Bears defensive coordinator for a few years. And we have to remember, he was the Eagles linebacker coach from 99 to 2003 under Andy Reid. So he's been around this, front office for, during those times, and he knows what the fans are like and probably has a lot of familiarity here. He coached here a few years. So I don't mind Ron Rivera at all, okay? He didn't coach the whole season. He coached the last 5 games. For Washington. I'm not going to put too much into this. From what it's telling me right now is that the Eagles want a veteran coach. They want an older veteran type coach at defensive coordinator. That's what they have been wanting. And whether it's Wink Martindale, Ron Rivera, do I want Wink a little bit more? Sure. But we haven't seen, Ron Rivera has been more of a game manager for a defense for Washington the last 3.5 years, but he hasn't really called a defense all year. But you have to look at it this way. You have to see how Ron Rivera does structure this defense, using players to their strengths and putting these players in good positions to win football games and how they're coached. And Ron Rivera is a very good coach. He's a strong, passionate coach. And trust me, I've seen Ron Rivera pull the Washington together at times where they were down to the bottom. And he's a great motivator as well. So this is something that I am welcome to happening. I have no issue with it. It's better than what we've had. But yes, I want the best that we could get. I don't think Ron Rivera is I don't think he's already in for the job already. I don't think this is the final answer. But I think Ron Rivera, since he's coached here for a few years, a long time ago, but knows the division, knows the players we have, obviously, which really does help what he's taking over. It's nice to see that there's a divisional coach that takes over this team because he knows everybody. He has, he knows our offense. He knows, even for training camp in the offseason, it's going to be a lot easier for him to, he already knows what, the strength of a lot of these players on offense and how his defense defense goes against us during practice, training camp, joint practices, all that great stuff. So I think having a divisional coach come into, a team within the division as a defensive coordinator really does help. And I'm willing to give it a shot. We'll see what happens down the road. But this is it looking like they want an older type coach that's been around a long time, knows what he's doing, and Rivera getting his juices flowing again as defensive coordinator. And I've always liked him. I've never disliked Ron Rivera ever. But it should be interesting. We'll see what happens with that. Other names involved, we have Mike Caldwell, that was part of the San Francisco defense last year too, and not really a big one on this. I've seen what they did with their corners. I've seen what they've done with their defensive ends in coverage. I just I don't know. This one, I think, is just one of those, like, let's just bring him in, see what he has to say, and that's really it. I don't think he's going to be a top priority over Wink and over Ron Rivera at this point, or even Ryan Nielsen of Atlanta. I think I would rather have Ryan Nielsen of Atlanta than have Mike Caldwell. This is part of Doug's staff. Doug personally hired Mike Caldwell as well. So, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of this one. You're going to see names that you're not going to like, but it doesn't mean they're going to hire them. These are just the Eagles doing their due diligence. You want to hire as many people as possible. Just like if you're an employer and you're trying to hire somebody to stock a shelf in aisle 15, okay? You're gonna look at 20 people, or if that many people come in for interviews, and you want to pick the right person. You want to just weigh out your options, not pick too early, but weigh out all your options. I think that's what the Eagles are going to do at this point with him. So, not my highest, but nothing crazy. Okay. Now I want to lastly talk about future contracts with the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles obviously signing a bunch of guys for, the offseason, OTAs, all that great stuff. Hopefully they bring minicamp back, because I think that's really important. I don't think they should miss any time. I don't care about injuries or anything like that. I think they need to bring minicamp back. I think this team needs as much reps. I'm not saying like overwork them, but they need more time to gel together. And obviously with another new defensive coordinator coming in, they have got to do more. And obviously another offensive coordinator. We'll see what happens with that. Not a lot of news, a lot of Frank Reich rumors coming in, but nothing really official on an interview yet. So we'll wait a little bit. But future reserve contracts. Okay, you have defensive tackle Thomas Booker. You have tackle LaRaven Clark. You have wide receiver Shaquan Davis, DT Noah Ellis, defensive back Mecky Gardner, DB Mario Goodrich, wide receiver Jacob Harris. You have Griffin Herbert. You have defensive end Teron Jackson, tight end EJ Jenkins. He's new. Linebacker Terrell Lewis, DB Tristan McCullum, DB Taiwan Mullen, wide receiver Joseph Nagata, the big receiver from Clemson, running back Lou Nichols, guard Jason Poe, linebacker Brandon Smith, center Lecatus Smith, tackle Brett Toth, and wide receiver, the new receiver Austin Watkins, the big preseason superstar last year for the Cleveland Browns, is on the roster. So that's all I really got to say today. That was kind of the news that we did miss. Like I said, I like how they're firing Brian Johnson. Desai's gone. Patricia's gone, seeking things elsewhere. And yes, Howie Roseman is still here. We'll have the end of the year press conference. We'll see how that goes. But I think we're starting to turn a little bit. We'll see. But from what I could see right now, you're looking at some aging defensive coordinators with good resumes. They need a strong voice and a strong defensive presence, a presence that everyone's going to look up to. And like I said, Ron Rivera, I think, is great, and I would not mind it at all. I don't care what he did the last 5 games. He's implementing something that he didn't implement in the beginning of the season for Washington. He didn't structure that defense in the beginning. It wasn't him. It was his defensive coordinator that structured what he wanted to structure. He failed at it. The statistics look horrible. Wink Martindale's statistics look horrible. And fans look at it and say, oh, well, why would you want him? He's got bad stats. Well, you know what? Like, some of these coaches just need new teams. Sometimes these rosters aren't good for what they want to run. Obviously, we don't have a good roster defensively. A few positions are flawed right now. Bend, don't break. We don't need that. So I think Ron Rivera would be actually pretty damn good. Mike Caldwell, Martindale, sure. So we'll see if there's more names. Even Ryan Nielsen from Atlanta wouldn't be bad. I think he's upcoming. We'll see what he does if he gets a job here, go somewhere else. Let me know what you guys think about which defensive coordinator they should hire and why. And let me know, are you guys giving Nick one more chance? Do you think he's going to have too much control? Or are these older type coaches with good resumes showing you that Lurie is like taking Nick's hand away and saying, you're letting these coordinators be coordinators? You let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news. And I will see you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Shakes, what up? Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.